What's up, squad? Back with another video. I seen the title was going down. Make sure to like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Y'all see it right here. One thing about it that I gotta say is that I feel like so many people are truly seeing what the left has to offer. And I feel like they've obviously seen it when Kamala was campaigning and stuff like that. But I feel like they're really seeing what's truly going on. There might be, obviously some people that some people that you know of that, obviously, in a way, in a sense, still support the left. But there's a lot of individuals that truly are starting to realize that when it comes down to the approval ratings, when it comes down to just seeing, individuals not doing what they need to do that's in office at all. Check it out.
Well, to make matters worse for the left, according to the latest poll, only 20% of voters approve of the job the Democrat Party is doing. That puts them at 52 points in the hole heading into the midterms. Jessica doesn't believe that, Greg. I think it's true, though. I think this autopsy, what makes it so amazing is it wasn't that it had something in it no one knew and they didn't want anyone to know about. It's that the autopsy essentially confirms the entire line of attack Republicans used against Kamala and Biden through the entire election.
Yeah, that's part of it, but why people keep asking, why did it take so long to release the autopsy? Well, they were waiting for Kamala's toxicology report to come back. But autopsies are like an intervention. Your friends and family show up to tell you all the bad stuff that you've done. But here, they did skirt a lot of the issues. Why was that? The ones that mattered were the cultural issues. They weren't brought up here and they weren't mentioned, especially trans, because they haven't changed their positions on them. So if you're not going to fix the problem, you sure as hell aren't going to own up to it. You're going to talk about Trump instead. But the problem is, if the underlying positions are still there, we're still going to focus on it because it's a huge issue. I went back, Dana, to find out the first time I mentioned a trans-related story, 2011, 2012, about bathrooms. Now, I targeted this for a very important reason, because I saw the intimidation tactics that would occur when it happened. And I figured that if I persuaded people on the importance of fighting this battle, it would matter. It wasn't a marginal issue. You could say, I remember the argument, it's only a few trans people. That wasn't the point. It was an attempt to re-engineer biology and silence anyone who dare questioned it. Why was the trans issue so important to challenge? Because people still ask me this, usually when I'm out in the street signing autographs. I'll tell you why. It diagnosed and it exploited the fatal flaw of cultural relativism. That's the unlocked door where any idea that is detached from truth could enter. It just so happened that it was trans, but it didn't have to be. Trans women are women. That got in. But it could have been anything else. 60-year-olds are now 40. A morbidly obese person is now fit. Horses are people. Cantaloupes could have rights. It's all the same. Any position where truth is surrendered to the prevailing wishes of the mob would become the order of the day and would compel you to obey. That's why it mattered. It was like the first strike against a 13 billion-year-old planet. And it was a flex. It was a flex of the unravelers, the people who said, if we could do this, there's no such thing as truth anywhere.
Dana, why do you think they let it out now? Is fear it was going to get leaked?
Memorial Day weekend.
People won't pay attention. They had to do it eventually.
Yeah, so Memorial Day weekend. And
wild.
obviously the president sucks up a lot of oxygen when it comes to all the headlines. So how can we get this out? Maybe they thought it was going to leak. And also a guy who used to work for Kamala Harris had gone out this week with a big piece. I don't remember where it ran, but Rob Flaherty, is that his name, Jessica? And he was like, here's what I think went wrong. So everybody was trying to get out ahead of this fact that they knew that it was going to come out. So there's that. On the they, them ad, so Adam Schiedler from TAG, that's the group that put the ad together. And if I think the DNC would have been very wise, they should hire Adam and his team to say, okay, here's the ad we would make about you today going into the midterms. They don't have to release it, but pay them, create the ad, and to know exactly what they're up against. It's be like the midterms. They don't have to release it. But pay them.
I'm not gonna lie, that's wild, bro. Me personally, I don't see how people think it's okay to have those individuals to compete in girl sports. Like, what is it about? Like, I don't understand people that want that. I don't know if I'm just that, but like, I truly don't get so many things. It says Trump's they them had destroyed when it came down to Kamala Harris. I look at it, me personally, that's not the only thing. You know, when it came down to Kamala Harris, there are so many things that Kamala Harris did herself. Me personally, that's what I think. And people seen straight through it. Yeah, when it first came out, you know, I think one of the first first thing she had, I think, was with Megan Thee Stallion, and she had people twerking and doing the most, and I feel like so many people saw that, and they, you know, kind of ran with it around that time with Megan Thee Stallion, I should say, and so many people ran with that, and she might be cool, you know, she got somebody that's dancing and doing this and doing that. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people stayed and stuck with her. But there was a lot of people that seen straight through it, like, what is she really on? Like, what is she really about? I'm telling y'all. And I apologize if y'all heard that scream. That is my 2-year-old daughter that completely, when I tell you, I know for a fact, y'all got a second child. I feel like the second child, and I'm a second child. But I don't feel like, my parents said I was bad, but I don't think I was. I don't know. Maybe I was. But when I tell y'all, pretty tough, definitely, when it comes down to
create the ad and to know exactly what they're up against. It's be like,
so I apologize again.
It's called something in corporate jargon where you would do that. But to me,
opposition
research, maybe, or like where you workshop it or something. So that way, at least they would know
those in the Marine Corps would say you war game it. That's what you're doing. War game it. That's what they say.
But the other thing is, as Greg has said, like, or you could watch The Five.
Yeah, yes.
Because everything that is, I was reading this, all the like bullet points from this. I'm like, these are all the things that we're saying, not because we're geniuses, but because they were obvious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or you could talk to a guy. If you want to know what guys, you know, why you lost the male vote, go talk to a guy. You don't need $10 million in a, you know, in some sort of study here, autopsy. But there were some things in here that they should be listening to. The stuff that happened about how they lost young men. They talked about the rural vote and how they lost the rural working class vote. You talk about it. I mean, and it's interesting that they lost that vote after Hillary didn't go to Wisconsin, and everyone thought that was a big point of why she lost that election. So the report was, you know, let out sloppily. There was a conclusion page that was blank. It was a little bit of a hot mess, but some of the stuff in there is still relevant. Mm-hmm. And I'm not seeing anyone, especially on the trans issue that Greg brought up, other than Gavin Newsom. I don't see anybody else. I mean, you saw Governor West from Maryland, Westmore. He's still saying all the trans stuff from, you know, 2024. So why don't they want to listen to this? I think it's good. Some of this is good stuff.
Yeah, but the time to look at it was a year ago when it was available for release. They made it into a scandal when it wasn't. We've had a number of autopsies that have come out since the election, and they all say basically the same thing. You know, Jared Moskowitz is.
So why didn't they release it? Why did they wait?
Because it's a piece of crap. I mean, the fact that we spent our money on this, the DNC dollars that could have gone to, you know, knocking on doors or whatever else, on an unfinished piece of shoddy work. There were no citations, and it would be like, you know, X, Y, or Z happened, or this interview, and then like no cites. You don't know who said it. Mm-hmm. You don't know how he came up with his numbers. And so Ken Martin had to go in and redline the whole thing and say on the side in the brackets, or what's it called? Like the
margins?
In the margins, he says no evidence for this. No evidence for this. So he didn't release it because he's embarrassed.
Sounds like climate science. Sounds like all the climate science you guys said was real.
It doesn't sound like that at all. Actually.
Yes, it does.
Like it is friend. It is long. Well, it's not. It's his longtime friend. This guy Paul Rivera, who, by the way, was still on the DNC dole until today, basically, when now he's not going to be working on this anymore. So Ken Martin knew it was really bad, and he felt shame about it. You're totally right about, Biden was not included in this, essentially. The talk of him being too old, being shielded from the public, that is a central factor in why we ended up losing the 2024 election.
Do you think putting this out earlier would have
shame about it? You're totally right about, Biden was not included in this, essentially. The talk of him being too old, being shielded from the public, that is a central factor in why we ended up losing the 2024 election.
Do you think putting this out earlier would have kept...
About that. My thing is they played a whole big flip-flop game when it came down to Biden. I feel like what Jessica's doing right now is just a whole bunch of excuses and trying to defend when truly it's nothing really that you can defend, honestly. And that's just me. But they played this whole game. And that's why and it's like they don't listen. It's not like you're making fun of somebody when it came down to it. This is what I tried to explain to everybody when back then, when Biden had the debate, and all of that. And I explained to people because, again, it's true. It wasn't that people, and obviously people will make fun of, they'll say different things, they'll say this, they'll say that, obviously when it came down to Biden, they say that, oh, he fell, he did this, he fell off the bicycle, he fell down, he fell down a step, or he did this or did that. A lot of people, also mentioned and said that he's not capable, within, his health, the simple fact that he can't say and do certain things. It was a lot when it came down to it. And people wasn't, obviously the left wasn't going with that. They put him in that debate, and obviously things clearly still wasn't the right way. You know what I mean? It clearly wasn't. Y'all seen how it went, obviously. And then again, they wasn't listening. Things were like that. And they went and said, and again, I apologize, dogs are barking. My sister just walked in. Oh, Biden, he is old, he's this, he that, but they just said that he wasn't. Then they flip-flop and said that he's still capable, and then they threw Kamala in there. So one thing about it is that, just like this word right here, they were very sloppy. They obviously weren't listening. It wasn't like we were trying to bash nobody. A lot of things were factual, and they seen the outcome with it. The outcome was it was truly a landslide when it came down to election, and Trump ended up in the White House. Clear as day.
Would have given Democrats inspiration to have a talking point or a message or a platform beyond not Trump.
We had this already. I learned nothing in here except that they hired an inept person to do something that was deeply important after.
I don't trust any analysis when they say that they don't like the report because it's shoddy, because they've never said that about their reports. They just don't like this report.
That's not true. All of the reports that have come out say that we majorly messed up in 2024, that we messed up in some ways even in 2020. It was a COVID election, and that made it was a different game. Obviously, I think, if we hadn't had a global health pandemic, President Trump might have won re-election, frankly, if people had not been stuck in their houses, et cetera, and the economy hadn't crashed. And
mail-in votes.
Yes, we stole it. I want to say something, though, about the trans issue.
Is this the Leering Center of autopsy reports? Like, it's a scam. Like, this guy got paid a lot of money to do nothing.
No, he didn't do nothing. He just did a bad job at what he was doing. On the they-them ad, it was mentioned in here, and it said that it did have a big impact.
It's funny, though, because it says they failed to address the they-them attacks. You address it by having common sense and rebuking it. You don't address it like, oh, by the way.
No, but they literally
it was an issue that the entire country looked at and said, you're crazy.
It just sat there like a big turd in the middle of the election or in the middle of her 107 days. And the reason that the they-them ad resonated so much, it was actually an economic argument more than it was an argument about trans issues. Because it said the Democrats are going to spend money on undocumented people. They're not going to spend it on Americans. It wasn't necessarily to goad people into feeling like, oh, I hate trans people. And Greg, you said, oh, we could tell them anything. We could say that a 40-year-old is a 60-year-old, or maybe a 60 is a 40-year-old. That's not it. People believe that people believe that transgender people exist. What they don't believe is that they should be competing in competitive sports against biological women.
I got something to say.
Tell them
That's all.
anything. We could say that a 40-year-old is a 60-year-old, or maybe a 60 is a 40-year-old. That's not it. People believe that people believe that transgender people exist. What they don't believe is that they should be competing in competitive sports against biological women. That's what happened with all these bathroom bills. That you even see conservatives that say, "I don't really care where you pee, just don't make it my problem." I love the idea of
Y'all, okay, yeah. So I see this. I see this right now. Did y'all see how quick she said that and then moved on to the next topic? She tried to say something real quick and slide that in there.
women. That's what happened with all these bathroom bills. That you even see conservatives that say, "I don't really care where you pee, just."
I don't know who said that, but whew. Y'all just heard me say I got a daughter. I got two daughters. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. They shouldn't have to, like, what are we talking about? Women need to be in women restrooms and men need to be in men restrooms. I don't play that. I don't like stuff like that. That's not me. That's not something I'm going to support, and that's something I'm definitely against. I don't know about y'all and how y'all feel, but me personally, that's something I'm not supporting. I'm definitely not supporting what she's talking about, Transformer going into, no. We're not doing that. That's something that definitely should never happen. That's something that I think, and that's just my beliefs. I don't know how y'all feel. I know most of y'all agree with me when it comes down to it, but that's not it. It's not it at all.
Don't make it my problem. I love the idea of a new ad, though, and we'll do it with Trump. Trump is for he, him. Democrats are for you. And we could do that.
People care where you pee. I'm telling you right now.
I care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because, I
definitely
like to pee outside. I get in trouble for it all the time. We're going to flush this one down.
I'm going to tell y'all something. That last thing she said, too, Trump is for he, him, and Democrats are for you. That's complete lie. And that literally just goes to show you that Jessica thought she, I guess, sounded good saying that. But y'all know that that's a lie. I don't have to sit here and explain myself. Y'all see it for yourselves when it comes down. I'm not even going to say just me and my channel. When it comes down to you. Everybody know the truth about it. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.